That would be dope if they decided like, hey, this version of the tracksuit gang is led by Anton, whatever. I think it's like Strelinsky or something weird like that. They're led by Paul Giamatti's Rhino. He's just not the Rhino yet in this universe. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Whole Views. Today we get to talk about Hawkeye episode 3. Before recapping the episode and giving our theories, let me give a plea to you all to consider subscribing to the page. I know I'm a small page, I know I'm working a small operation, but we have over 95,000 views here on the channel, 94% of which come from people who aren't subscribed to the page. So please consider subscribing. Help me to continue to grow the channel. Help me to reach the goals that I'm trying to reach. I would appreciate it so much. And let's go ahead and get started talking about Hawkeye. So episode 3 opens up with some background. We get to see the origin story of this particular boss level type character. And I knew within about 10 seconds of watching it, I knew she could do no wrong because she was so justified in everything that I imagined that she would be doing moving forward. I know she came through with a lot of ruthlessness once you get through her origin story, but to me, everything feels justified. That close-knit relationship that we see very briefly with her and her father, and then knowing that he kind of motivated her to be as strong of a person as she was throughout her life. It's like, yo, this is everything right here. This is a great reason for a person to have vengeance in them and want some retribution against Ronan. So like, I'm not even mad at her determination, her choking out Haley Steinfeld. I said Atwell in my last video. So sorry for that. But her choking out Haley Steinfeld and like being super aggressive, all that stuff was justified and warranted because you took away her dad, which she was very, very close with, and again, was a great little father figure in the small amount of time that we saw him. Real close connection, real good motivator, push that girl to like train her heart out. I'm impressed with how much could be developed in a character's backstory with just a few minutes of screen time. That was an adorable kid version of her too. She was so cute. Great stuff in those first few minutes. Then you get into a fight scene, the factory fight scene with Hawkeye, with Haley Steinfeld, with everybody involved with tracksuit gang and even that main character. Like, they're all fighting it out. And I must say, we always talk about the fight choreography and how well these fights are done. And it never ceases to amaze me that they keep upping it and they keep meeting that same standard of quality when it comes to the crispness of the fights. The fact that they tie in CGI during these fights and people don't even notice because it's just so well done. Hats off to them for the fight scene, and the fight scene transitions so seamlessly into a wonderfully done chase scene. I think about the movie Extraction. If you saw Extraction on Netflix, it came out like a year ago, maybe a little bit more than that. Extraction had these real cool shots during the car chases where you were in the car but you could see 360 degrees around, like everything that was happening, and it did the same thing in this Hawkeye episode, but it was wonderfully shot. It really made me think about how did they technically do that. Real cool chase scene. You get to see all the trick arrows that Kate Bishop had like wanted to see and wanted to mess with. She gets to use quite a few of those, and you get to find out that Hawkeye just blatantly lied to her, like, yeah, there's no trick arrows. Like, no, he has a ton of trick arrows with different purposes, and it was just cool to see everything kind of play out like it played out with the chase scene. Great chase scene. I know a lot of people just categorize action as action, but it's very distinct between that fight stuff and that chase stuff, and both were well done. But actually, if I had to pick one, I think the chase scene was done just a little bit better. Had me a little bit more on the edge of my seat, wondering what would happen next. And the deafness, or the Hawkeye going deaf, really played a pivotal role in the development of their little friendship through that fight scene, through the chase scene, and then getting to the next part of the episode, which was the apartment stuff, where you really get to grasp the emotional stakes that are on the line for Hawkeye. Now, we do know, and we've been knowing, that Christmas is super important to his family, and him being there for this Christmas was a big deal. Him taking his kids to spend time with them, really big deal. And that could seem very trivial in the way that we look at most shows, like, oh, he's not gonna make it for Christmas, oh, he's that dad who always breaks his promises. In some type of way, we imagine he's gonna find a way to get home for Christmas. You imagine that's gonna happen. But having that conversation and having Hawkeye, Clint Barton, Jeremy Renner all be like vulnerable in those moments were very, very well done. And again, it kind of connected you a little bit more. Like, it means a lot that he's saying I love you to his son, but he can't hear it back. It means a lot that he's going through the ritual of saying it I love you, and then waiting for that response, and then responding with I love you more, even though he knows he can't hear it. So that was real big for the development of the character, and like showing the stakes and how important Christmas is. Real good stuff there. I like, again, the pace of the episode, because you know, it starts to slow down there. You get to the diner and you get Kate kind of just being a kid, kind of just geeking out about being there with Hawkeye and throwing out her theories and everything else. You see a little bit of that mentorship, because when I think about the fight scene, I think about the car chase. Like, that is what I call on-the-job training. Like, he's training her in the moment. Like, hey, shoot here, do this, do that. Real hands-on stuff. But at the diner, and then the following scenes, you get to see a little bit more of the, hey, this is how you think things through. You're still thinking about the wrong stuff. He didn't necessarily say that line, but when she talked about, you know, he tried to talk to her about the cost, and she was like, yeah, but you get cool trick arrows and a cool suit and all this other stuff. And his head drops. To me, that's just an indicator, like, hey, like, you're not getting it still. You're not understanding what's at stake. Like, your life, your whole life is on the line when we're doing these things. So I think that's going to get conveyed to her more at some point. I can imagine seeing a fight between those two, not physical fight, but like a Hawkeye really going hard at her and like hurting her feelings, and seeing those characters separate. I can almost predict that's going to happen. Or if they choose to go that route, it would make sense, like, because it would probably take that level of effort from Clint to get through to Kate Bishop at that point. She's so enthusiastic about wanting to be a part of that life. I imagine him snapping would be like the point that makes her come to reality, like, hey, this isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Maybe it might be something else that would take her to snap into reality. But getting into those final moments of the episode where you see them snooping around the apartment and Clint being held at knife point by Jack. I think I called him Dave last episode. Sorry about that. But you get to that point, and you can almost tell like that's gonna transition very quickly into what I imagine is going to be an awkward moment between Jack and Kate and Clint. So looking forward to seeing that thing move forward. I think this episode was very, very good. It's always a great thing when you can have a show that establishes a very sympathetic, or at least a villain that people can identify with. You know, there were shades of that with Thanos, people in the audience saying like, you know what, he kind of has a point. You see that with Killmonger, like, hey, you know, when you really think about what he was trying to do, it's not really a bad idea. Somebody should have thought of that before him. Same thing here, like you get a character connected to their parent that had really not done much wrong in their eyes, and have them kind of ripped away by someone. You would see how they would be motivated, and, you know, to train and fight and get better and seek out that vengeance at some point in their life. So again, I like the character development on the bad guy side of things. Now let's get into theories about who this uncle could be. Because if you remember, during or right after the fight scene and the tracksuit gang is like packing up, they are talking about this uncle who would be upset if they knew how hard we were going out here over Kate Bishop and Clint Barton. I know a lot of people have kicked around the ideas like, hey, they might cross over some stuff with the Netflix universe and bring in Kingpin. It's like, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about Kingpin being connected. If we really thinking about that, I think that there were Russians involved with the Daredevil series, but if my memory is correct, they were at odds with Kingpin in seasons 1 and 2, if my memory was correct. I have a way wilder theory to throw out there. Are you ready? Well, you know we're doing multiverse of madness stuff, right? So go with me here. What if that uncle that he's referring to is none other than Uncle Anton? Anton, can't pronounce the last name. Paul Giamatti, Rhino. What if that's the uncle? That would be something. I know that we're doing the multiverse of madness. We're doing Spider-Verse connections. We got Venom putting Spider-Man in a post-credit scene, like all that stuff is happening, right? So, you know, the ball is anywhere in anybody's court. That would be dope if they decided like, hey, this version of the Tracksuit Gang is led by Paul Giamatti's Rhino. He's just not the Rhino yet in this universe. That would be cool. It wouldn't take much effort from Paul Giamatti to throw on that tracksuit like he did in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And, or was it 2 or 1? I don't remember. I think it was 1. But anyway, it wouldn't be much for him to throw on a tracksuit and like make a cameo. It would be fire if they did something like that, something crazy. And to me, street level enough, I feel like that's believable. Or maybe just a different, maybe not Paul Giamatti, but like someone else to play that Anton character. That would be dope. What you think about that theory? Let me know in the comment section. That's it for this here video and this here little recap and breakdown of my little theory. I think that's a good theory, a little solid one. Like, hey, if they reaching deep into the bag of characters to pull out somebody to lead the tracksuits, Rhino, before he becomes Rhino, Mech Suit Rhino, that would be a good candidate. That would be a good choice. So let me know your thoughts. Please make sure to leave a comment. That's all I have. Enjoy yourself. Guard your heart. Please subscribe. Come back and check out more videos.